So this message is about stirring up. Like Timothy said, stir up the gift that's within you. He was speaking to men who taught, to pastors, to would-bes, to could-bes. But that's not what I want to teach today. I want to talk to you about stirring up the prayer that's within you. You know, I sense and believe, and if you can call this prophecy or not, but I'll tell you what, we all need to get together and understand what it means to pray. To stir up the prayer that's within us, because we're born to pray. Once I had that DNA experience, you know, I bowed my knees and confessed that Jesus Christ is Lord, and the Spirit of God came upon me, and I began to speak in an unknown language. Something happened in that moment that I can't describe by any other way except a transfusion. That old guy passed away, that old blood is gone, and that new blood began to flow through me, and all of a sudden I needed to pray for people I didn't even know. Because when you don't know how to pray for as you ought, you probably pray in the Spirit, don't you? When I don't know how to pray with my intelligence, of which I have very little, I pray without understanding in the Spirit for things that I know I should be praying for. Amen. Someone will come through my head. I won't know why I'm praying for them. I'll just pray for them in that way. Amen. And so that's what I want to talk to you about in a way that helps you to understand more than that why prayers are not answered. Because I'm going to suggest to you that maybe there have been a time or two in your life where you haven't had an answered prayer. And I'm going to make it worse. There have been a time or two in your life where you've had those prayers going up to the Lord and you were faithful and you just prayed and prayed and prayed. And then Sally somebody and Freddie somebody prayed like one time and they got their prayer answered. They got healed in a miracle working way. They got all healed up in front of you. And you knew that's the first time they prayed for it, and they got smacked. And everything, God just blessed them and everything got better. People praying for finances and they get them. They get them in the mailbox, or they get them and it falls out of the sky. I hear prayers of stuff like that. You do this many podcast shows, you hear people telling you all the miracles in their life, and I'm sitting there with a prayer list, this ancient tablets. You know, I've still got those going on and saying, Lord, what about this one? You know, I'm back at number 3 still working on that one. In 1973, I prayed number 3, been praying for it since, and I ain't quitting. But saints, we all get in that position and we're in that place where we're praying and we don't understand the delay. Right. Because we live in the microwave generation. I don't know what's faster than a microwave now. I guess Facebook, you know, or texting somebody something. I expect somebody, at least for me, it seems like if I text someone and they don't answer me back, they're mad at me. So I text them and say, did you get my text? And then they give me answers that you could probably determine what those are. But we expect so many things just to text someone, especially my wife. If I text her, I'm anticipating a quick reply. Right. She's taught me to not expect a quick reply, to be patient in my long suffering for an answer. She'll answer me when she gets around to it. There's a couple she still hadn't got around to yet. She said, you're probably still waiting. You may have similar experiences. Sometimes it's like that with the Lord. You know, that we don't understand why he hasn't answered, but we know we've prayed. I want to read my text to you. I'm reading out of the Modern English Version, which Charisma publishes, but it's very, very similar to the New King James Version. I'm still learning to speak, so bear with me, and I stumble all over myself. Martha said to Jesus in John 11:21. John 11:21. Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had just been here, my brother would not have died. If you'd just been here, it'd have been okay. Many of us come into the presence of the Lord and think, if you'd have just been here, if your presence would have just been with me, and I prayed this prayer, this diligent prayer, this bloodletting prayer from every portal of my temples, I'm praying so hard. And I know if you had just been here, that you would have answered that prayer. I want to deal with that. I want to try to find out what that means, and particularly to answer for you, to give you some kind of spiritual insight to why we keep praying, why that word persistence comes with prayer. You know, there's no prayer we pray once and we just go to the vending machine and get it out the bottom. God can move that way. I'm sure not in his way, and I would sure like it today. But the reality is it seems like we got to persist for a while, that we're going to pray. And we've got to pray. It's got to matter something to us, to where it's not just, if it's not bothering you, Lord, I'm really busy right now, but I came out in the hall to pray. But it's that when we pray without ceasing. I think that prayer without ceasing part is not just staying in an attitude of prayer all the time, but pray without ceasing about that which you're praying about. I don't think there's any problem with praying over and over and over again the same prayer. Some people get all caught up with that, and they say, I prayed it once, I've got faith, it's going to be answered. I'm not going to say which is right or which is wrong. I don't know. But I do know this, I'm going to keep praying. I think there's a lot more verses that say an unprayed prayer can't ever get answered. I think there's a lot of those. But I know this, that a prayed prayer will be answered. I've just got to not treat it in an intellectual, humanistic way. I've got to treat it in the realm of the Spirit of God. As I pray in the Spirit, I have to move in the Spirit and expect in the Spirit. And God's time is not my time. My ways are not his ways. He gets to do whatever he wants to, but I know he's going to do it. My faith isn't rocked a bit. I know that he's going to hear my prayer. I want to consider John the Baptist for a moment. Now, I want to read just a little bit about him to you so you have a real good understanding of who John the Baptist was to Jesus. Now, you know he's his cousin. You know a lot of good things about him. You know he liked locust and camel hair, so he can't be a bad guy. You know, a man that will go through life wearing camel hair and locust, and, you know, he's probably okay. You know, because he didn't really need a whole lot of other stuff. I don't know how much other stuff was available, but he was certainly at the bottom end of the need level. He didn't need a whole lot. Matthew 11:2. I'm going to give you some background. I'm going to jump over in just a minute. Here we go. Now, when John had heard in prison the work of Christ, he sent two of his disciples and said to him, "Are you he who should come, or should we look for another?" I want to back up, and I want to read what Jesus said about him. That's where he was, in prison, very near his death, when he prayed that. Now, let me tell you who he was to Jesus. And then we can have our own block party for all of the prayers that we don't have answered. And then think about the prayer that wasn't answered for John. He just was praying to keep his head on and stuff. You know, it was a pretty simple prayer. Can I keep my head today? I don't mean to make light of it, but it's been a long time. You know, we're over it. Now I'm learning from it. Now I understand him. Jesus said this in 11:11 of Matthew. "Truly I say to you, among those who are born of women, there has risen no one greater than John the Baptist." Jesus said that. There has been no one greater than John the Baptist. And then he was related to him too. But just that line, if there was no one better than John the Baptist, you think he could get his prayers answered? Do you think that Jesus would go out of his way to break him out of that prison? Wouldn't have been real hard. Spirit broke out Paul and many other prisoners at that time. It wouldn't have been that hard to protect him from Herod. Don't know why he didn't. But I know that he was respected by him. No one greater than John the Baptist. He goes on to say, I want to finish the verse so we get the good context. "But he who is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than me." He who is least in the greater of heaven. He wants us to see that comparison of heaven to earth. And sometimes that spiritual impact, that spiritual work that's being done, we don't always get it like book learning. We don't always get it in our classwork, in our books, in our text. Sometimes we only catch it in the Spirit. Some things are just caught. And I'm going to tell you, saints, I had to catch this message because I didn't get it. I had to catch it because I couldn't find enough to tell me the whys about a prayer like John the Baptist preached. Listen to him, John the Baptist cry out again, backing back up to 11:2. "Now when John heard in prison about the work of Christ," listen to me, he heard that Jesus was out there healing people and setting them free and getting demons cast out and throwing them into pigs and stuff. He knew he was doing all these things. He heard about the work there in heaven. John sent from prison two of his disciples and go chat with him. Listen to what John said through his messengers. Question, Master? "Are you he who should come, or should we look for another?" So, did I miss the Messiah? How about that, having your faith rocked a little bit? I'm confused here. All these folks are getting healed and set free, and their prayers, the blind can see now. And here I am. Did I miss you? Did I miss something along the way? Because I'm right here, and Herod's right up there, and he's saying lots of bad things might happen to me. And something like, "Help me, Jesus," might have come out of his mouth 5 or 4 times. Jesus answered in verse 4 of 11, "Go and tell John what you hear and see." He talked to him. "Go and tell John The blind. This is what he said. You go tell John this. The blind receive their sight, and the lame walk. The lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear. The dead are raised up. And the poor have the gospel preached to them. He said, yeah, you're hearing right. I'm going to send some guys to tell you about what's happening. So yeah, you're hearing right. But it's this verse, verse 6, that'll rock you to your feet. I'm telling you, I'm coming after your socks. This will change you. Blessed is he who does not fall away because of me. What he said to John through his messages and to all of us is, don't take offense by what I do for others. Amen. Ouch. Don't take offense by what you see going on down here that's not going on in you, because it's just not time yet. Something like that. You have greater things to walk through, and we're going to be okay. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep praying like you're praying. Keep studying. Keep attending. Keep giving. Keep loving. Keep serving one another. It's coming. He said, don't blame me. Listen, I can't say it any better than this. Blessed, happy, full of joy, full of good stuff is he who does not fall away because of me. Jesus said that. I hope they're not offended by God.
Amen. Very good.
My goodness, saints. That'll just get you. And it'll help you for the rest of your life, I think, in the Spirit. Just we can't take offense by what we see our neighbors getting. Now, Lord, that person hadn't been in church for a day. Here I've been praying this prayer for 20 years. One day, boom, chakalaka. The Holy Spirit falls all over them. And they go on a run, and they dance, and they shout, and everything's going good. Here I am, Lord, I'm still little old me, just serving. In fact, I invited them to church, Lord. I'm ready for my half a portion. I'll take a quarter portion. But Lord, what about me? I'm a little offended. I did this in my church in Tulsa. I had a young man take a sign out into the parking lot and picket my church. And it said, I'm offended. I just wanted him to walk all the way around the parking lot and come in the lobby after everybody was in and just keep carrying that sign. Now, we had a couple of elders and security people that wanted to have their way with him. But I didn't get to them quick enough to give them the information on the message. But I talked about the spirit of taking offense, because it gets down in you somewhere around your liver, southeast of it maybe. It's in there, down in there, where you start feeling this way about what's going on. You feel like, I don't understand how I'm doing all. Lord, answer your text, please. It was just, help me, Jesus, Stevie. That's all it was. Help me, Jesus, sign Stevie. You know me from the foundation of the world. You've known me. Help me. I get to you. I'm going to answer you. The promises of God are yea and amen. Just like, not yet. That's the only thing I can figure. It's just not yet, because I know it's going to be answered. And I've had so many others. Are you like that? When one doesn't get answered, you forget all the ones that were answered. Oh my. We can get in trouble there. We can start taking offense again. When they get someone to carry a sign around, I'm offended. People get mad at God. I've noticed that in my life as a minister. You got to see the letters we get at Charisma about people who are offended at God, though all the miracles they read about in our magazine. You know, they're looking for proof text. They want me to prove that this thing happened. This man was raised from the dead. God doesn't do that anymore. You know those kind of folks. Cessationist or some name like that. No. He's just beginning. There's no ceasing going on. Just after it. He's beginning a new work in you right now, today, stirring up the prayer that's within you, stirring up that desire to pray. Sometimes you don't get one answer, you stop praying. How about you? Does that happen to you? You know, the quicker I admit it, the quicker I can get over it. You know, sometimes I just get worn out. My knees hurt. I'm old. You know, and I get down. Sometimes I can't get back up. You know, but maybe I need to be down. Maybe I need more prayer.
Thank you for watching Rock City Church Online. We pray this video sharpens and encourages you to be all that God has called you to be. You can give online at rockcitychurch.com or on the Rock City Church app. Like and share us on social media at RockCCBaltimore and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next episode or live stream.